Isaiah is standing in a room he was not supposed to survive entering. The temple in Jerusalem was organized around the principle that proximity to God's presence required progressively higher levels of purity and authorization. The outer courts first, then the inner courts, then the holy place, where only priests went, then the Holy of Holies, where only the high priest entered. Once a year, on the Day of Atonement, with ritual preparation that took days. Isaiah is not in the temple at all. He is in the throne room of the thing the temple was built to represent, and he sees it. Seraphim, 6 wings each, 2 covering the face, 2 covering the feet, 2 for flying, calling to each other, not to him. And what they are saying to each other in that room is this. Isaiah 6:3, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The foundations of the thresholds shake at the sound. The house fills with smoke. And Isaiah, a prophet, someone whose entire vocation is to speak on behalf of God to people, says, Woe is me, I am undone. I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among a people of uncleanness, and my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. He is not overwhelmed with beauty. He is not inspired to write poetry. He is coming apart. Most readers of Isaiah 6 picture the glory of the Lord as a kind of overpowering light, radiant, brilliant, the visual experience of standing in front of the sun. There are passages in the Bible where God's presence appears as fire or blinding brightness. But that is not what the word in verse 3 actually means. The Hebrew word translated glory is kavod. Its root is kaved. The verb means to be heavy, to have weight, to press down. The seraphim are not saying, the whole earth is full of the Lord's light. They are saying, the whole earth is full of the Lord's weight. That is a different statement. It changes what Isaiah is experiencing, what the text is doing, and what every passage in your Bible that uses the word glory is actually saying underneath the English. Before kaved means divine presence or sacred honor, it means what your body already knows. Moses, standing before the burning bush, explains to God why he cannot be the one to go to Pharaoh. Exodus 4:10. O my Lord, I am not eloquent, either in the past or since you have spoken to your servant, for I am heavy of mouth and heavy of tongue. Heavy of mouth, heavy of tongue. The Hebrew uses kaved, the same root as kavod, to describe what other translations call Moses' stutter or speech impediment. His mouth is heavy. The words come slowly, pressed down by something he cannot get past. This is not a metaphor for difficulty. It is a physical description using a physical word. The same word appears in Exodus 14:25, when Pharaoh's chariot wheels are clogged in the mud at the sea crossing. They drove heavily. The wheels turned with difficulty, pressing down into the ground, unable to move as they should. Physical resistance, weight against movement. And the Hebrew word for the liver, kaved, shares the same root as kavod. The liver is the heaviest internal organ in the human body. When the Bible gives it a name, it names it for what it weighs. In every one of these uses, kaved is doing exactly what the English word heavy does, describing material, physical weight. A man's tongue that cannot move freely, wheels in mud, the organ the body keeps heaviest. God's kavod is the extension of this concept into a register the human body cannot fully contain. When the seraphim say the whole earth is full of the Lord's kavod, they are saying, the substance of who this being is, his reality, his actuality, his presence pressing against everything that exists, fills every space in the created order. Not as light fills a room by illuminating what was dark, as weight fills a vessel by occupying it, displacing what was there, making itself felt through pressure. Kavod is not what God looks like from a distance. It is what it feels like to be in the same space as God. The difference matters because the body responds to weight before the mind can articulate what is happening. Isaiah does not describe what he sees in precise visual detail. He describes what the experience does to him. He comes apart. That is the response to weight, not to brightness. The clearest demonstration of kavod as physical pressure in the Hebrew Bible happens before Isaiah. Twice, Exodus 40:34-35. Moses has finished building the tabernacle. Everything is in place exactly as the Lord commanded. The curtains, the ark, the altar. the lampstand, the basin. And then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter the tent of meeting, because the cloud settled on it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses was not able to enter. Moses, who spoke with God face to face, as a man speaks with his friend, Exodus 33:11. The man who had gone up Sinai while the whole mountain shook and been there for 40 days. The man who had just overseen the construction of the very tent now standing before him. Moses could not step through the door because the kavod was inside it. The presence had weight enough to hold a man at the threshold. Then again at the dedication of Solomon's temple. Kings 8:10-11. A cloud filled the house of the Lord, so that the priests could not stand to minister because of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord. The priests could not stand, not because of light. You can close your eyes against light. They could not stand because the weight of what filled the room made standing impossible. The kavod occupied the space so completely that human bodies could not function normally within it. In both accounts, the verb is the same. The kavod filled the space. Maleh, male, filled to capacity, saturated, no room remaining. The tabernacle and the temple are vessels, and kavod fills them the way a heavy substance fills a container, completely, pressing against every surface. Now the opposite. 1 Samuel 4:21-22. The ark has been captured by the Philistines. Eli is dead. His son is dead. Eli's daughter-in-law is dying in labor. Her son is born, and she names him Ichabod, Ichabod. The prefix E negates. The name means, where is the glory? No glory. She says before she dies, the glory has departed from Israel. An English speaker hears Ichabod and thinks of a school teacher in a Washington Irving story. A Hebrew speaker hears kavod with its negation. The weight that was here is gone. The vessel that Moses built and could not enter, that the priests served in and could not stand in, is now empty. The word for that emptiness is a name given to a child born on the day the ark was taken. The weight that filled the room, the name that carries its absence, now returned to the throne room. Isaiah 6:2. Each had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. The seraphim cover 2 things, their faces and their feet. Covering the face makes sense in any reading. The presence is too much to look at directly. Even these beings who exist nearest to it cannot look straight at it. But why the feet? Feet are the part of the body that touches the ground. They are the most creaturely, most earthbound thing about a person, the contact point between a living being and the created earth it stands on. When God commands Moses at the burning bush to take off his sandals, because the ground is holy, the feet and the ground are the meeting point between the earthly creature and the holy presence. In Isaiah's vision, the seraphim cover their feet. Even in the presence of the God whose weight fills the earth, they cover the part of themselves that most belongs to that earth. Even being a creature feels like something to be modest about in this room. They cover their faces because they cannot look at the source. They cover their feet because in this space, even existing as an earthly creature feels presumptuous. Isaiah 6:3. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. They are calling to each other, not to Isaiah. He is an accidental witness to what these beings say among themselves when they speak truthfully about what is in the room with them. The triple repetition, kadosh, 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 is the only triple repetition of a divine attribute anywhere in the Hebrew Bible. 3 times. The God who is utterly set apart, utterly other, and then the weight of this utterly other being fills the entire earth. Every space in the created order holds it. Isaiah 6:4. The foundations of the thresholds shook at the voice of him who called, and the house was filled with smoke. Physical responses, structural shaking, smoke. The building responds to what is in it the way structures respond to sustained pressure. The foundations of the thresholds move. And then Isaiah speaks. Isaiah 6:5. Woe is me, for I am undone, nidmetai, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts, nidmeti, From the root dhamma to be silenced, destroyed, rendered unable to continue as it was. Isaiah is not describing the awe you feel standing in front of something beautiful. He is describing coming apart, and his specific problem is his lips. Isaiah is a prophet. His instrument is speech. The thing he is about to be called to do, deliver the word of the Lord to a people who will not hear it, is the precise capacity he names as his failure. Unclean lips. The weight of kavod in the room has not inspired him. It has revealed exactly where the gap is between what he is and what this moment requires. Isaiah 6:6-7. A seraph takes a burning coal from the altar with tongs, handles it with tongs, because not even a seraph holds it barehanded, and touches it to Isaiah's lips. Behold, this has touched your lips. Your guilt is taken away, and your sin atoned for. The purification is physical. A coal from the altar, where animals burned as offerings, touches the body part that was the specific problem, not a declaration from a distance. Contact, the most sensitive part of the face, pressed against intense heat. Then whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Isaiah, whose lips were just touched by fire. Here I am, send me. The sequence. Weight of kavod body responds by coming apart, physical purification of the specific failure, commissioning. This is what kavod does when it is close enough. It does not inspire from a distance, it dismantles and rebuilds. The word that replaced kavod in Greek is doxa. In classical Greek, in Homer, in Plato, in the philosophers, doxa meant opinion, what appears to be the case, what others think of you, reputation, the visible impression something makes on an observer. It sat in contrast to episteme, certain knowledge, because doxa was contingent, dependent on how things looked to others rather than what they actually were. It is a word about perception from outside. When the scholars who translated the Hebrew scriptures into Greek, the Septuagint, done in Alexandria in the 3rd and 2nd centuries before Christ, came to kavod, they chose doxa. This was not an obvious choice. Doxa did not carry the weight vocabulary of kaved. It did not describe Moses held at the tabernacle door or priests unable to stand. It meant something closer to the way the Lord appears to others, the Lord's visible reputation, the impression the Lord's presence makes. The choice transformed both words. Kavod gained a visual, perceptual dimension through its Greek vessel. Doxa gained weight and substance. It was now used for the presence of the God of Israel that filled physical buildings until human bodies could not function inside them. Paul builds on this transformed doxa throughout his letters. 2 Corinthians 3:18, we all, with unveiled face, beholding the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from one degree of glory to another. From doxa to doxa, the word carries both the Greek sense of visible manifestation and the Hebrew inheritance of substance and weight pressing down. But English readers come to kavod through doxa by default. When you read glory in your Bible, you are reading a word that traveled through classical Greek opinion language before it reached you. The weight vocabulary of kaved, the pressing down reality, the presence that kept Moses outside and made priests sit down and structures shake, has been filtered through a word that originally described how things look to observers. Neither the Hebrew nor the Greek is wrong, but they are not the same word. Reading Isaiah 6 through kavod, the substance under the translation changes what the room feels like. This is what this channel does. Go back to the original languages and find what the translation chain has made harder to see. If kavod is giving you a new way to read passages you've known for years, subscribe and share this today with someone in your life who sings about glory every Sunday and has never heard the word underneath it. There is more in these texts than most people have been shown. Luke 9, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John up a mountain to pray. While he is praying, his face changes and his clothes become as bright as a flash of lightning. Moses and Elijah appear in glory, in doxa, and speak with him about his coming death in Jerusalem. The light is there. The brightness is real. But before Luke describes the disciples' response, he adds one sentence that most readers pass without stopping on. Luke 9:32. Now Peter and those who were with him were heavy with sleep. The Greek word is vivarimeni, bebarimenoi, from vareo bareo, to weigh down, to burden, to press heavy. This is a weight word, a direct cognate of baros, the Greek word for burden or load. The disciples have become heavy. They are being pressed down. Luke is not explaining that it was late and they were tired. He is describing what the presence of kavod does to human bodies, the same thing that made the priests unable to stand at the temple dedication, the same thing that held Moses at the tabernacle door. Before the disciples fully wake up and see the brightness, their bodies are registering the weight. They become fully awake. They see the brightness. And Peter, not knowing what he is saying, says, "Master, it is good that we are here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you and one for Moses and one for Elijah." 3 tents, skinas, tabernacles. Peter, in the presence of kavod made visible, reaches instinctively for the framework of the Exodus. He wants to build what Israel built in the wilderness when the weight of God's presence came down onto a mountain. He does not know why. He does not understand what he is witnessing. But his body felt the weight before his eyes saw the light, and when his mind grasped for a response, it reached for the tabernacle, the structure designed to hold what was here. The brightness at the Transfiguration is the visible outer surface of kavod. The light is not the definition. It is what kavod looks like when it becomes visible to human eyes. The thing underneath, the weight that kept Moses outside the tabernacle door, that the seraphim described filling the whole earth, that Isaiah came apart under in the throne room, was present on that mountain. The disciples felt it in their bodies before they saw it with their eyes. They became heavy. There is one more thing about kavod that most English readers never encounter. It is the same word used for human honor. Psalm 8:5. "You have made him a little lower than the heavenly beings and crowned him with glory and honor." The Hebrew crowned him with kavod and hadar, the same word used for the weight of God's presence filling the tabernacle, applied to what God placed on humanity at creation. Genesis 45:13. Joseph tells his brothers to bring their father Jacob to Egypt. "You must tell my father of all my kavod in Egypt, all my weight, all my substance, my position, my reality in Pharaoh's court." The word that describes the presence of God pressing on the tabernacle until Moses cannot enter is the same word Joseph uses for what he has become. Kavod means weight, the actual, substantive reality of a thing. When applied to God, it describes the weight of divine presence filling a space. When applied to humans, it describes the weight of human worth, dignity, and honor. Being made in the image of God includes being a kavod-bearing creature. When kavod departs from a person, when honor is stripped, substance taken, weight in the world removed, the same category of thing is gone that was gone when Eli's daughter-in-law died naming her son Ichabod. And Paul's promise in 2 Corinthians 3:18, being transformed from one degree of glory to another, is not a promise about becoming brighter. It is a promise about increasing in weight, becoming more substantially what the image of God was always meant to be. John 1:14. "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth." Dwelt, eskenosen, tabernacled, set up a tent. The same structure Moses built in the wilderness, the one that the kavod filled so completely he could not step through its door. The Word became flesh and tabernacled among us, and we have seen his kavod, not from outside a tent, not standing at the threshold the way Moses stood, unable to cross. The disciples who walked with Jesus were inside the tabernacle, and the weight that held Moses at the door was now experiencing what it was like to have a body. Mark 4:38 is specific in a way that is easy to pass over. Jesus was asleep in the back of the boat during the storm on a cushion. The weight that filled the tabernacle until Moses could not enter was lying down on a cushion in a fishing boat while waves came over the sides. He was tired enough to sleep through it. In Mark 5, when the woman with the hemorrhage touched the hem of his garment in a crowd, Jesus stopped and asked, "Who touched me?" The disciples said, "The crowd is pressing against you from every side." The kavod that the seraphim described as filling the whole earth was, in that moment, being jostled in a marketplace, trying to identify one specific touch among many. Isaiah came apart in the throne room because the weight was too much for a human body to hold together. The disciples walked beside it every day and sometimes forgot what they were next to. That is the miracle John is describing. Not light, weight, contained in a form that got tired, got hungry, got jostled in crowds. The form, the weight of the whole earth, would eventually press onto a cross and could not hold there. Here is what changes when kavod replaces glory in your reading. The whole earth is full of the Lord's weight, not his light. The earth is not illuminated from above. It is pressed down, occupied, saturated with the substance of a presence that fills it the way kavod filled the tabernacle, completely, leaving no room. Moses could not enter the tabernacle he built because the weight inside held him at the door. The priests at the temple dedication could not stand because what filled the room made standing impossible. Isaiah came apart because the weight in the throne room revealed precisely what was insufficient in him, and then, through fire, through contact, through the most physical act in the passage, repaired it and sent him out. These are not stories about being overwhelmed by brightness. You recover from brightness by closing your eyes. You cannot close your eyes against weight. And this is the word under every English translation of glory in your Bible, under the seraphim's song, under Moses' request, "Show me your kavod," under the cloud filling the tabernacle and the smoke filling the temple, under Ichabod's name at his birth when his grandmother died, saying the weight was gone, under the disciples at the Transfiguration going heavy in their bodies before their eyes opened to the brightness, under John 1:14 and the word tabernacling among us. The English word glory is not wrong. It is the right word in many contexts, but it arrived to us through doxa, a Greek word that began as opinion and was chosen to carry kavod across languages, and through 2,000 years of Christian art that painted God's presence as light, because light is what painters can make visible on a surface. The Hebrew knew before all of that. What God's presence does to a human body is not illuminate it from a distance. It presses it. It fills the room. It makes structures shake and priests sit down and prophets come apart and seraphim cover the most creaturely part of themselves, their feet, the part that belongs to the earth, as if even existing as an earthly creature is something to be modest about in this presence. And then it sends you out, the coal from the altar, the touched lips, the "here I am." That is kavod working its way from the throne room into the material world through the body of a prophet who could not survive it and could not refuse it. If this is giving you a new word for something you have been singing about for years, share this today. Someone in your life sings glory every Sunday and has never heard the weight underneath it. And subscribe, because there is more in these texts than most people have been shown. God bless you.